Video is going to be a little bit more amateurish than normal, and that is because I want to work inside because it's 105 degrees out, and that's hot, even by Las Vegas standards. Main battle plan is to get this Pioneer AVH-2300NEX head unit in my dad's car. Now this was a Father's Day present, and it is now past Father's Day, but I'm going to get it in. And the main reason I'm working inside is because I want to do the wiring harness, solder that one up, and then get that ready. Once the wiring harness is ready, the whole thing will be quite easy. We're going to have this trunk here. This is a trunk I got from the junkyard, which is off of an SE V6 vehicle and has the spoiler. Now, unlike most other people when they mount a backup camera, I'm not going to be mounting one on the license plate frame. Instead, I'm going to make it look as OEM as possible by putting the backup camera right in there, and it seemed to be a lot easier to do before I mount the trunk on the car. Now I've already pulled back this carpet, and since I'm going to be swapping out the trunk, I will be swapping out this lock barrel right here and doing some work with the wiring harness. But the plan is to remove that trim bezel using these 3 bolts right there, and right there. Then pop the screws out. The whole thing should come out. Then measure it out, drill a hole exactly in the center, and then mount the wires right back through here through the original loom. That way it should come out looking stock as possible. As some of you might already know, this trunk does not match the color of my dad's Ford Fusion or model, but it does have the spoiler, which is one thing he wants. And being that his car only has 100,000 miles, but it is significantly beat up after driving in Las Vegas for 10 plus years on the strip, this car is going to get a full respray and replacing like 4 different body panels, one of which is the trunk, the passenger side door, which was my fault, and the driver's side fender, which was a crackhead's fault. So I'll be using the Pioneer NEX head unit, obviously. I have a double DIN kit for the Ford Fusion and other Ford products by Scorpion, and I also have, I'm going to use this tap-in backup camera again to get that OEM look, and because I don't like to cut into OEM stereo wiring, I have this harness. Now this harness connects to the vehicle and will tie into the harness that is provided by Pioneer. This way I can do an easy swap out later on if I do decide to upgrade the head unit or return to stock. Now inside this box we have the Pioneer wiring harness, which is going to wire up to this right here. Now, as for the wiring harness itself, it should be relatively simple. All the wires should be color coded to what's on here. The stereo industry is relatively standardized, so it should be simple. Here you have the mounting screws for the radio. That's what's going to attach it to the DIN kit over there. You have the microphone for the Bluetooth connectivity, which is something he desperately needs. A user's manual. And here we have the actual head units. Inside the package is also this USB cable, because this head unit does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that does require the head unit to be connected via USB to the phone. The point where I actually pulled off this rear trim panel and installed the camera, but it was quite easy. There are 3 screws, one here, one here, one here, a clip here, and another screw right here. Once you take those off, the whole thing just pops right off. I drilled a hole in the center, which did become slightly complicated due to the fact that this screw is right next to where the camera is. So it made it very hard to tie in, but I did, got it through, and had to cut another hole in this side so that I can clearance the camera properly through the bolt. And they had to seal it up with silicone and popped it back together. All in all, it was pretty easy, kind of time consuming, took almost 2.5 hours, maybe 3, but it's done. Now I'm on to the next step of setting up the wiring. One thing I am a little concerned about is swapping out this lock barrel. I'm not too sure how to get these off. There's gotta be a way to do it though, and I'm gonna find it. I tried turning with the plier, that didn't work, so I just took a drill and drilled it out. I don't know what kind of weird bolt that is, but that thing is not convenient. I'm probably just going to stick it back in with a big old rivet. The first one came out with the drill bit. The next one needed an angle grinder, but it's out. It got there. Now this trunk is pretty much prepped and ready to go. All I need to do is decide whether I want to keep this wiring harness or use the wiring harness that's in the car. It's super easy. It's literally just 2 bolts here on either side, and then you pop this gasket out. What you do is you take a plier or pick, pull this little clip out, and slide the shock out. Installation, same as the opposite. So when it comes to actually installing this wiring assembly and all this stuff, I decided to keep the stock original loom from this car, which included everything except for the backup camera and the third brake light. For a third brake light, here you can see I stuck with the original wiring and the clips and just spliced them in right here, and then installed them and tapped into the stock third brake light which is the incandescent bulb behind the window. So they both come on, both light up, which you will see in a moment, and all this wiring is wiring that came with the stock Ford Fusion base car. Now I decided to not have to splice in all the other wiring because it would just been a massive pain. And as for the backup camera, here you can see the data and power cable goes down here, sticks with the stock loom right here, and splits up right here. The video connector goes from down here under the door sill on the driver's side, up the kick panel, and across to the head unit. The power for the backup camera is done right through here and it's tapped into the reverse light. It's all very simple, and this is not cocaine, it is baking soda because there was a battery acid spill in the back. And once this is all neutralized, I'm going to wash it out and clean it. And as you can tell, it does work off the popper. I'm going to install the actual OEM key that came with the vehicle, so the key will be the same key that's used for the ignition and for the door. I'm going to install it with a big rivet. And the backup camera is in, looking great. You would never be able to tell that that's not stock, except for the fact that the trunk doesn't match the rest of the car. Other than that, spoiler looks good. I kind of want to keep it separate colors. Have the trunk, the roof, and the hood all be silver. Okay, so when I started to edit the footage, I noticed that almost all of it was gone when it came to the actual install process of the head unit. All in all, in this car, it's super easy to do the head unit. All you need to do is pop up the two clips right here, then press a plastic or metal pry tool in here, and slowly push up the push pins on either side, actually on both sides. Once that's done, put your hands back here, slowly free up the pins on here, put the other hand back here, slowly free up the pin on here. Then it should all come out nice and easy like. And as for the head unit, there's going to be 4 screws holding it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 little locating tabs right here. Slide it out, disconnect your actual power cables and speaker wiring, then you'll have the data port on this side, followed by the antenna connector over here, and the whole thing will come out. It's super simple. This is probably the easiest car to get the head unit out on I have ever seen in my personal life. Now as for the install of the radio, all you really need to do, if you did get that connector, is plug one end into your car's radio connector, which includes the power, speaker wires, illumination, and a bunch of other stuff. Plug that into the car, plug the other end into the radio. Now I do have the microphone hooked up right on top of the steering column. This way it gets nice, crisp, clear sound. It's ran in through the back and popped right in here. So the wiring harness is complete, the radio works and everything. And now the next step is going to be take out this center console so I can route the parking brake switch and the aux cord and the USB cable into here to have the aux and USB cable right there. I want this car to seem as stock as possible, even though being fully upgraded. So I'm going to take this out, take it inside the house, give it a good deep cleaning. Tabs that'll be hiding some screws. So take that one out, and that one right there, and there should be some screws back here as well. So once those are out, the whole thing should lift right out. Pull the center section out. I believe all you do is you pop on here and just pull out. Oh, that was easy. And just pull straight out. That was much easier. I don't even think I had to take off. Oh my god. I had to go one step further in the cleaning process. Take these 2 bolts out and remove these side pieces too. I'm going to take everything inside and just wash it, including that. Pop this out, and oddly enough, it's a picture of me back when I was in elementary school. Can't believe he still has that. Sit in the car. So it just pops off right there. Just like that. And disconnect the cigarette thing in the back. Screws right here to take off. Right off, you should be able to slide it back, but you also need to disconnect the aux port and the cigarette lighter in the center console. Just slide the whole thing back and then lift up. There you go. Pulled out, ready to be cleaned properly. Pulled out the original Ford aux jack, and as you can tell, it is not a circle. It's this weird rectangular little clip thing. But the new one that I bought off Amazon that includes both the aux jack and the USB is a big circle thing. Luckily it came with this, so I was able to match up the right. Hey doo-doo, good boy. You're a good boy. Yes you are, you're a good boy. But I was able to match up the right drill bit length. Good boy, doo-doo. I was able to match up the right drill bit length, or diameter of this one. It should be close enough, and then I can just ram it in the rest of the way. You got the cigarette lighter port right there for your standard 12-volt power, and then right there is the USB 3.0 and the 3.5mm aux connections. Mounted just like they were from the factory. Also, it was a lot harder to get a round peg in a rectangular hole than you'd expect. So now to install this in the car and to hook up the e-brake safety switch wire thingamajigger. The USB and aux cables that go into the radio were routed underneath the center console and into the rear center compartment right there. This radio does have Android Auto and CarPlay, so that's kind of why I needed that. But all in all, very simple install. Everything works quite easily. Once the connector is hooked up, you do have an antenna adapter you need to use. Just pop that in. It's 4 screws to hold this in. Slide in the 2 locating clips on the bottom, which will be right around there. Pop that in, and then press in the panel. This panel is not the one that came with the vehicle, being that this is an S Fusion. The S cars did not come with a clock, so that had to be wired in. I'm actually going to make that a separate video, because I'm pretty sure this video itself is definitely over 10 minutes already. Here's a quick shot of the backup camera. You can see it all works well. There's that. If you want like a more in-depth detailed wiring harness tutorial, I'll be posting a link to that at the end card and in the description down below. It's when I did the Android head unit in my mom's car. It's still pretty much the same thing. Like I said earlier, the radio wiring harness industry is pretty much all standardized, so it's very like match up wires of colors and plug them in. That's pretty much what it is. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see some more videos like this, hit subscribe and do whatever else you do on the internet. Have a good one, guys.